program may disturb you, but I can't help it because that's me. And the main question is, and it's a really important question because I don't really know who's going to win what. I can be here like, a cheerleader and say we're going to win. We don't know who's going to win. But I'm feeling something that I've got to express. Because the day I can't express what I feel is the day I will be gone from radio. Are you as excited about this election as you were about electing Trump? Has your enthusiasm somewhat waned? Or worse yet, are you simply not going to vote in this election, and why? Now, if 2016 was the biggest year for immigrants flooding into America, and I mean illegals, why hasn't Trump fixed it? And why will Trump go on every show, including left-wing shows, except the audience that put him in power? And while we're at that, who do you fear more? Who would be more vicious and psychotic as a speaker if the Dems win, Nancy or Maxine? And while we're at that, what do you fear most about a Democrat victory? And while we're at that, what do you fear most about a Republican victory? Because America's divided. And while my audience is certainly skewing to the right, it always has, it's not solely skewing to the right. I speak to an awful lot of independents, and I don't know where they stand. I know this. I know that we're $22 trillion in debt, and both parties want more war. That's all I know. And I've said this to you for years. All the years I've been in radio, I've said the same thing. When both parties agree on an issue, you can agree on one thing. We, the people, are getting screwed. So last night, I found a story that reaffirmed everything I feared about the so-called Republican Party. And I posted it on Twitter. I said, Koch brothers want anchor babies to stay. I told you in my book they make a killing on illegals. They're both pro-mass immigration. They're both GOP mega donors. They're both billionaires. And yet they oppose Trump's plan to end birthright citizenship. So tell me what the difference is at the top of both parties. If you have Bill Gates and the others on the left running to the left of center, and you have the Koch brothers on the right running to the right of center, does it really make any difference to we the people? Don't they really determine the policies of this nation by determining who is in office? And maybe we're going to go back to what America was before Trump came along, which is who cares? I know I'm supposed to sit here and pound the drums and tell you to go out and vote. Your life depends upon it. I'm not so sure it depends upon it. I'm not so sure. The only thing that's going to change, only a few things would change if there was a Republican sweep, which there won't be. And pretty much we all agree that even if the Republicans squeak by, they're not going to have the power they have now. And look what they've done with their power. What have they really done for you? What have they really done for you? What have you gotten out of this great revolution that we had? Tell me what you got out of it. Now, I know you're all afraid of the illegal aliens marching to the border. And that's another question I have to deal with. We certainly need to secure our border, but we didn't get the wall we voted for. That's number one. So far as I know, not one brick has been laid. We kept hearing build a wall. I don't know. Maybe there is a wall that I don't know about, but there is no wall that I know about. They certainly could have gotten it started. They don't want a wall. The Republicans want the illegals here. Forget about the voting. They don't care who votes. They run the country anyway. Whoever has more money wins. So the illegals will be pouring in order to make sure that the machine, the engine, the economic machine keeps running. As far as the immigrants from Central America go, Mexico and Central America, that's a question that actually needs to be discussed. If you're an extreme right-winger, you see every one of them as a potential rapist and killer, and you don't like them, period. If you're an extreme liberal, I can name a few, they've never met an illegal who wasn't better than a white man. I'm giving you the two extremes. To guys like Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, even though they're both white, they have never met an illegal alien from any of these countries who's not superior to a white indigenous American. To those on the right, they've never met anyone coming from these countries that they're not afraid of in some way. But the vast majority of Americans are way in between that. We all live in the real world. We all eat, sleep, drink, work in America. You've certainly rubbed shoulders over the last 20 years with people from these countries. In many ways, the people we meet are just like us, aren't they? Aren't they very much like our ancestors in terms of coming here and working hard? And so, therefore, what is it that we fear? Is it a demographic change? And if so, well, does that really matter? If you want to look back into the waves of Europeans that came into this country around the time that my grandfather came to this country, which is around, I think, 1918 or 1920, when we had the largest waves of immigrants in the nation's history up until that time, where approximately the same percentage of foreign-born Americans comprised the population that it does now. Tell me that every Irishman who came here, every Jew, every Italian was a sterling citizen, and you'll be lying. I mean, let's be clear. There were gangs coming in with the Jews. They were known as Murder Incorporated. There were gangs coming in with the Italians. They were known as whatever, their mafia. The Irish gangs yielded two presidents, so far as I know. The bootlegger, Joseph P. Kennedy. I mean, he was the drug dealer of his time. The Kennedy family, when you think about it, the darlings of the liberal left, their fortune was built on blood and violence. Everybody knows that. The old man was a genius, a bootlegger, gang leader, made his fortune, and did what every gang leader does. He sends his son to Harvard. And then what happens is, after two generations, what was red becomes white. It gets washed clean. So, you mean, you could argue they're different. They are different, ethnically, racially different. But at the base of it all, is there really that much of a difference? And tell me where and how. So what is it that we fear at the end of the day? And why are we voting at all? Does it really matter when the oligarchs run the country and have run the country from the beginning? It seems to me at a certain point, no matter who we elect, we get the same thing. I'm sad to tell you the truth. It seems to me that there doesn't seem to be that much of a difference. Trump speaks differently, but really what's different about this? What have we benefited from Donald Trump's presidency so far? Have we? And if so, where and how? I'm not talking about rhetoric. I'm talking about actual on-the-ground differences. After all, we read that there are more illegals coming over the border than ever before. Why? He's been president for a couple of years. What happened? How did that happen? Now, I know you don't want me to say these things. I know you want me to be a little good cheerleader here and jump up and down and say you must vote to save the country, get you all excited, but I'm not going to do that because I don't believe that that's my job. And secondly, I am an independent, and I've always kind of talked to an independent audience on this show. And although I talk about the insanity from the Salem witch trials to the Trump witch hunt, if you actually read my words, and many of you have bought the book, you'll see that I am not really that skewed to the far right as I am said to be by the vermin in the media. That's a whole different story, which is the media. And the media which is fanning the flames of racial hatred, which has people on the bottom go crazy and kill people. That's a separate story. What's going to happen if we vote and the Democrats win in very big numbers and Trump moves to the left to appease the people who are voting against him? Are you going to still support him? You know, it could happen. What if there's a huge Democrat victory? A huge victory of the Democrats, and Trump, being a politician at this point, sees which way the wind blows and he moves to the left. Are you going to move with him? Are you going to do what Sean Hannity is liable to do? Are you going to do what Sean Hannity is expected to do, is be a good water carrier for the administration? Because he may wind up a senator that way or an ambassador. There's one part of this administration that disturbs me the most, and I'm trying to separate my objective, flawless logic from my emotions. But it's very difficult for me to separate it when I've written about Beware the Government Media Complex. I wrote about that in 1998. I gave that speech at the Commonwealth Club. It was a time when Clinton and the media were one and the same. Remember that? And I wrote Beware the Government Media Complex. It's a famous speech in the annals of the Commonwealth Club. It happened only one time. And it's an important speech because I talked about the cozy relationship between, at the time, Bill Clinton and the Democrat Party. And the press, excuse me, between Bill Clinton and the press at the time. But now when I wake up and every day I see people being picked from the Fox News chorus line to be ambassadors to be this one, to be that one. I ask myself, how different is this government media complex than that one? What would you have done? I'm asking you the questions that are very uncomfortable for me to even ask. What would you have done if Barack Obama had picked somebody from CNN to be his communications director, and then this communications director from CNN, or worse yet, MSNBC, only picked people from his network to be ambassadors, spokesmen, guests of the president? What would you be saying? Would you be saying anything different than I am? And again, I'm trying to separate me, Michael Savage, from my objective view of what's going on. And I'm trying to maintain an objectivity here in a time of total turmoil and madness as far as I am concerned. So I posted a couple of questions that I'm going to ask you again. Are you as excited about this election as you were about electing Trump? What has tamped your enthusiasm if it has gone down? Are you not voting in this election? If not, why? If 2016 was the biggest year for immigration, why hasn't Trump fixed it? Who would be more vicious as a speaker if the Dems win, Nancy or Maxine? What do you fear most about a Dem victory or a Repub victory? I think that's enough for now, and I shall be back in a minute.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400...
Calls from people who say, look, I'm going to vote, but I live in New York, it doesn't matter. I'm going to vote, it doesn't matter, I live in California. And unfortunately, there are millions of people who have been disenfranchised in this nation, even though they're largely taxpayers. So we don't have any representation in California. We have two very, very evil billionaires running the state. It's not the way the Constitution was set up. There's supposed to be some kind of balance here and some representation. I have no senator to go to. I don't even have a congressman to go to in this state. And I know you feel the same way in New York. The communists have taken over both of these states. And I am using that word judiciously. They are no different than the Soviets under Stalin, who ran a one-party system. The only difference is they have not yet taken us off the streets and put us into re-education camps or killing fields. But the mentality is the same. Nevertheless, having said that, and that's quite a dramatic statement, but it's true, unfortunately, a lot of people feel that their vote doesn't count and they don't want to vote at all. I'm not so sure that the same enthusiasm that existed when Donald Trump came along and I backed him to the hilt is going. I don't see the same thing now. I don't see it. Now, it could be me sitting here alone in San Francisco. And I will admit that perhaps this is a subjective view. I don't feel it and I don't see it. And rarely have I been wrong. I have generally, even though I've done this show alone for 25 years, sitting alone in a room, remember that, I've never lost my stethoscope. And my stethoscope tells me people are indifferent. I don't mean you. Most of you are calling like crazy right now. Oh, no, I voted. No, I went out and voted early. I voted. It's bigger than ever. Is it true? What about those who are not voting? Are they going to call the show and say, I'm not voting? I want you to remember now, I want to turn the clock back to 2015. I want you to remember what Obama had been doing to this country. I want you to remember what he did to the police. I want you to know what he did to excite the Black Lives Matter movement and the number of cops that were being killed. I remember how we felt at that time, right? Remember all those days, all those years? Remember from the day Obama arrived how he used race as a dividing tactic, which he used his entire life to get where he is? I mean, it worked very well for him. As I've told you 1,000 times, liberals come to do good, and they do very well indeed. And he's done very well indeed. Him and the old lady have made hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. Book deal, $70 million. Netflix deal, $100 million. That's only what we know about. 3 huge mansions purchased in the last year of his presidency. But you didn't hear any of that from the twisted sisters in the news media, did you? No. But is that enough of a reason for you to go out and vote now? I'm not so sure. What is it that's impelling people to even go out and vote right now? What do they fear? What do they hope for? What do they want? I don't feel it, and I don't know if I'm right or wrong. Line 5, Robert on KSFO. Tell me what you think.
Yeah, I just feel like it's pointless, Dr. Michael Savage. It was the first time, 2016 was the first time I ever volunteered for any kind of campaign. And living in California, you can imagine what that was like. I was smeared. My car was keyed. My house was vandalized, and I felt like it was worth it. But I see what's going on today. Has health care been repealed? Has the wall been built? They say that.
Wait a minute. You're one of the people who I motivated to go and vote. Is that more or less true?
100% true. 100%.
All right. Did I solicit you to call? Did I go behind the scenes and pay you to call? I did not.
No.
So you're one of the millions of people. I said go out and vote. Your life depends upon it. I motivated all of the unwashable out there, and I said if you haven't voted in years, go out and vote now. You're telling me you're not going to vote this time?
No, I'm not going to vote. Because
But I want to know why. This is the raw nerve that I'm looking for.
Do I see the wall being built? All I see them is fighting over the funding for the wall. Do I see health care being repealed? No, all I do is see them fighting. And there's no. And I'm not saying Donald Trump isn't a great leader. He's a great leader. He gets things done. Because if we had anybody less than him, we would not have done what he's done so far. But I still just feel like, what's the point?
Wow. See, I don't think anyone would have dared do what I did today. And I applaud you for daring to speak out as you just have.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now.
For whom the bell tolls, time marches on. Now, if you just tuned into the show, I think you have to go back to what I asked, and I'll repeat myself. My tuning fork tells me that there's not as much excitement amongst the deplorables as there was when Trump was put over the finish line. And I'm asking, what is it that has tamped your enthusiasm if you're one of those people and you're actually sitting out the election where you just don't give a damn anymore? And there's enough reason, by the way, on both sides of this question to take a position. The deficit is bigger than it was when Trump took office. The wall has not been built. I mean, you want to get cynical. You could just say he's just another politician who lied to us. On the other hand, you could look at some of his accomplishments and say, well, we have 2 justices. We have deregulation. It seems that there's a better spirit in America. Business is doing better. The economy is doing better. So you can take a few different positions, and they both would be correct in some ways. I don't think it's 100% one way or the other. But that leaves people feeling, what's the point? That no matter who I vote for, I'm going to get the same thing. KSFO, Jennifer, I don't know what position you're taking. Tell us your position, please.
Are you speaking to me, Jennifer?
Well, if I'm not speaking to you, then one of us is crazy.
Oh, I thought that there was somebody else on the line. Anyway, yes, I was pretty naive when I voted for Trump, and I listened to you for years before that.
Okay, but what is it that you didn't... Okay, let's start again. So what are you not voting this time, or you are voting?
I am not voting ever again.
But why, Jennifer? You're an important caller to the show because you may only be one person, but you may be speaking for thousands. Why are you not voting?
Because I expected people to be unhappy with how I voted. I did not expect the hatred I've received. My family has cut me off. I'm also a little bit different from maybe your average Trump voter in that I was raised in New York City during the 60s and 70s by progressive liberals. So my family's cut me off. All of my high school friends have cut me off.
So you became isolated simply because you voted for Trump? So, wait a minute. Hold on now. But let's put aside the tragedy of that. Is there something about this administration that leads you to this position of not voting?
A little bit. I mean, I can't say that I expected you or the president to address us, or who you call Eddie. I don't know what you call the female Eddies.
You were known as Edith in my books and writings.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You were the Ediths of America who I put out the clarion call which was if you haven't voted in last few elections, please do so now. It's our last chance. Donald Trump is our last chance. So you did that, and you're saying you're sorry, but I want to know why.
I told you I've lost everybody.
But you can't blame him for that.
No, I can't blame.
So it's wait. This is very important. So because of the hatred of your own family, who claims to be so loving and kind and progressive, you think you're going to win them back if you tell them you're not voting this time?
I will never win them back. I won't even accept any kind of communication with them.
I see. Oh, they're that malicious. They've been that malicious.
That malicious, but remember, they're die-hard progressive New York City liberals.
Yeah, the red diaper doper baby kind. I know the type. Think of Bernie. You're saying like they look like Bernie Sanders and let's pick a woman version of. So your family's like Bernie Sanders types?
Yes. Oh.
Yeah. They're impossible. They're all diehard communists and hypocrites at that.
Oh, God, thank you at least for taking my call.
Oh, come on. They're all hypocrites. You know what I say to them? What, they want more taxes? Why don't they move an illegal immigrant into their empty apartment or their empty house to show us how loving they really are?
Yes. Well,
But, okay, so aside from that, is there anything Trump has done that has disturbed you?
no.
So it's only because of the hatred you've gotten from your progressive family.
Yes.
Well, that's not going to change if you don't vote.
Nothing he has done. As a matter of fact, it's a little bit of an exaggeration to say I love everything he does. I like the way he says things. I like it when his tone is different than presidents before him, but I love it.
So you
love
like
it.
the alpha male machismo?
Yes, I do. Just like you. I love you.
Thanks for the compliment. No, it's a nice thing to hear. But I still don't understand why you're not voting.
I'd be too ashamed to tell anybody.
Well, we live in a free nation where you don't have to disclose who you voted for or whether you voted or not. So, it's a secret ballot. Do you know that in dictatorships it's not a secret ballot? You have to disclose who you voted for, the way the Democrats would like it in this country?
Well, then why does everybody know everybody's voting record?
Oh, well, do they?
I think so.
Oh, well, that's a separate question. Look, I want you to understand something. You actually have a family, Jennifer. It's a family called the Savage Nation.
Yes.
This is your real family. You know, it's sad to say, but the blood may not be as thick as the brain. I mean, a lot of people are stuck in some kind of mentality and they can't change it. The hypocrisy of the left is the part that bothers me the most. They all scream that they're progressives and they want more immigrants and they want higher taxes. Why don't they just pay more taxes? Why don't you just give away the millions of dollars a year they make? Is your family a wealthy family, middle class, or poor?
They are. Yes.
They're what?
Wealthy. And
wait. Wealthy progressives. That's not an oxymoron in New York, I guess.
No, it's not. I'm sorry. It's getting me all upset.
All right, no, take it easy. I'm sending you a gift copy of Stop Mass Hysteria. Well, there you have one person who expressed why she's not voting. I don't think it was so much about what Trump has done or not done. It's the fact that her nasty, evil, progressive family that claims to be loving and peaceful made her so unhappy because she said she voted for him. And this is almost the core of the whole question. It turns out that progressives are the most vicious parts of the political system. I have never seen anything like them. And many of you know this, and I think you fear that. So if I ask you, are you not voting in this election? If so, why? You can't believe the answers I got already. You cannot believe what people are saying. One says, the election is more important than 2016. Can you imagine Florida blue with going to whatever his name is? I don't even know his name. I can't remember it. Voting ready, even if I have to crawl to the polls. I'll be going through the motions as always, but as a prisoner of liberal Silicon Valley, my vote won't make a difference. Another one says, I voted early, voted Republican down the ballot. I voted Republican. Another one said that they're voting. So I'm getting basically people saying, yes, it is very important. And Derek says, to prevent socialism, I am voting. Another one says, I'll be voting in New York City, all red. I know it won't mean much, but some of us are trying to halt the Dems with their nonsense. Okay? So I'm not getting the answers I'm looking for. People are also saying, why vote here in Nevada, Las Vegas, Clark County has a high fraudulent vote count? The Culinary Union and SEIU hands out the voter cards of legal voters to illegal aliens for them to go vote with. I believe the mainstream media is conditioning the people to believe the Dems are taking the HOR. I don't know what HOR means. I'm voting in Missouri all the way. And she says red all the way. Lisa says red all the way. So, I don't know. Maybe it's my lack of enthusiasm. Or maybe it's your lack of enthusiasm. Or maybe I'm misreading this election for the first time in my political history. We won't know until Tuesday, will we? Whether my stethoscope is still functioning properly. I am telling you, once again, that I'm trying to separate my subjective feelings about it from my objective analysis of it, but they become one and the same. I'm not so sure it matters that much. Why am I feeling that? Can anyone tell me why I am feeling that? Because I don't really have an answer for you. There's something cynical in me that tells me to not get that excited this time. What about you? I'm here to take your calls, and I think your calls will help others figure out why they should vote or not vote. Jack on WABC in New York, go and tell me what you think.
Yes, Trump's done a lot of accomplishments like roll back the regulations and, like you said, confirm some justices. But his challenge, and he showed that a novice could run the government better than a professional politician. So his challenge is to get on health care, get on the wall, try to get those things passed. And if he can't do that, it's going to go back to the status quo. And yes, I'm voting just as a person to tell the establishment that I don't agree with the Dems in New York City. So I'm voting on November 6th. So that's
so you're calling from New York, and your vote doesn't count, but you're voting to show that you still exist. In other words,
exactly. In other words, that I don't agree what the Dems are doing is correct. So I'm voting all red anyway.
Well, thank God we have a secret ballot, or you'd probably be put into a gulag if de Blasio's thugs found that you were voting for a Republican in New York.
Vote. You got guys like Cuomo with the machine who will never get out of office, even though...
Yeah, he's right out of the Tammany Hall machine. He's a throwback to 150 years ago in New York when Tammany Hall ran the state like a private enterprise.
But listen to what I'm saying about Trump. His greatest challenge is yet to come, as far as doing health care, as far as doing that wall, and he's got to go through Congress to do it. And if Congress doesn't budge, guess what? The experiment is gone. In other words, even a person who showed some enthusiasm and getting things done that a president hasn't gotten done in 8 years won't be able to fight the establishment after all. That's the whole deal.
Do you feel in your heart that the deep state has won?
No, not yet. Not yet. We still have to get rid of Rosenstein. What's happening with that. The deep state is going to win if the Congress goes to the Dems.
Do you think if the Dems win, the sky will fall?
No, not at all. It's just there'll be more chaos. And nothing will get done.
All right, my friend, I appreciate it. I'm getting kind of real callers that make for great talk radio, don't you think? Jack, thanks for calling. And that opens up one line. There are other topics, and I'm going to throw them out here. U.S. military says migrant caravan more violent than previous groups. Media won't cover it. Center for Immigration Studies says 2016 was all-time record for immigration, legal and illegal. Well, why is that? Soros gives $1 million to a group investigating Trump-Russia connection. Gee, I thought he was this innocent emigre who came to live the American dream. Analyst says New Age beliefs are more popular as fewer Americans follow traditional religions. That's an interesting question. Are you a New Ager? And if you're a New Ager, can you be a Republican and a New Ager? That's what I want to know. Can you be an old hippie and a Republican? And what's the point then? Obama's first Netflix special will be an anti-Trump program. When that happens, I will drop Netflix from my cable system. If they become nothing but a mouthpiece for the New World Order socialist networks, forget about it. A majority blames both Trump and the media for dividing the nation. Who do you blame more for the division in the nation? Trump or the media? On that one, 99% the media. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. Aging is inevitable. In the past, aging in the jawline and chin gave your age away. That doesn't have to be the case anymore. I'm going to introduce the brand new Genucel jawline treatment with dual peptide and MDL technology. Chamonix's most advanced technology ever. It not only tightens the skin along your jawline, but it plumps the lipophilic layers of your skin to contour and define the jawline. That's right, it works right before your eyes. Using peptides and metolactones together for the first time, it works amazingly quickly, and the results get better every day. Chamonix's new jawline treatment works to sculpt the chin and smooth out that loose skin around the neck. Now, here's the best news. It's yours free when you order Genucel for under-eye bags and puffiness. And for results in 12 hours, Genucel's immediate effects is also thrown in for free. Just call 800-SKIN-891 or go to Genucel.com now. Imagine that double chin disappearing with Genucel's jawline treatment. Now stop imagining. Try it. Call or click now, 800-SKIN-891 or Genucel.com. Genucel.com. That's Genucel.com.
Coming up tomorrow on Bernie and Sid in the Morning from the Joseph Abboud VIP guest list. He used to work for Howard Stern. He's hilarious. Jackie the Joke Man. And we get you a step closer to Tuesday's big election day.
You probably heard it by now because I've told you about it. Maybe you heard it elsewhere, but hackers exploited a security vulnerability at Facebook, and it potentially exposed the personal information of nearly 50 million accounts. What attackers did was they stole access tokens, which they could use to take over people's accounts. Access tokens are like digital keys that keep people logged in, so they don't need to re-enter the password every time, right? Facebook says they fixed the vulnerability and informed law enforcement. And with your personal info from a data breach, criminals can open accounts, file tax returns. They can buy a property. There are so many threats in today's connected world, and just take, one weak link and bingo, criminals get in there. Good thing new LifeLock identity theft protection adds the power of Norton Security to help protect against threats to your identity and your devices. We all know that no one can stop every cyber threat, prevent all identity theft, or monitor transactions at all business. We know that. But new LifeLock with Norton Security can see threats you might miss on your own. Would you please go to LifeLock.com? Would you please call 1-800-LifeLock and use promo code SAVAGE for an extra 10% off your first year, plus a $25 Amazon gift card with annual enrollment? Once again, that's 1-800-LifeLock, code SAVAGE, or LifeLock.com, promo code SAVAGE. Terms do apply. And now back to the news. So, one of the most vile people in American political history. Well, you have a choice between one of two. A woman who stirred up hatred against Republicans is liable to take over the gavel, even though she has corruption in her background when she was on the Senate Banking Committee, the Congressional Banking Committee, the House Banking Committee, pardon me. I'm talking about Maxine Waters. If I'm lying to you, prove me wrong. Her husband ran a minority bank, and she steered $12 million to that bank, which has never been paid back the last I checked. Perhaps I am wrong. And so this corruption, which will exceed anything the Republicans ever done, is waiting in the wings. Then you go to the West Coast, north, and you have another one, Nancy Pelosi, again, with this extremely suspicious business dealings surrounding her, just like Feinstein. They're ready to take over the country. So all this negativity we hear about Trump and the Republicans, why do we never hear about the negativity and the corruption swirling around the Democrats? Then you got Shifty-Eyed Schiff. If he's not a whack job psychotic, look at his eyes. Look at the eyes of Schiff. These are the eyes of a madman. Shifty Schiff will chair the Intelligence Committee if the Dems sweep back in power. His picture can be seen on the top of the Drudge Report. Look at his eyes. Read those eyes. Remember what Reagan said? Read my lips? Or was it Bush? Who said read my lips? In Schiff's case, I would say read my shifty eyes. So the stocks are very jittery now. Trump is out there saying make America safe again. Oprah Winfrey is out there running her political speeches now about her ancestry, meaning wink, wink, racial thing. What is at stake here? Are you as excited about this as you were when Trump was running?
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE. Warning: the Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture. And here he is, author of Stop Mass Hysteria, Michael Savage.
Devil or angel, I can't make up my mind. Which one you are?
Well, here we are, hour two. The audience is excited, agitated, angry already. All I did was ask, are you as excited about this election as you were about electing Trump? And then I said, if you're not as excited, what has tamped your enthusiasm? I went further and said, are you not even voting in this election? And if so, why? And then I said, if 2016 was the biggest year for immigration, why hasn't Trump fixed it? He's been president for 2 years. And who would be more vicious as Speaker if the Dems win, Nancy or Maxine? And then I made it more generic. What do you fear most about a Democrat victory, a Democrat majority? Or, on the other side, if you're a left-wing or a Democrat or just moderately in the middle, you don't really care one way or the other, what do you fear most about a Republican victory? If you're, let's say, just a moderate Democrat, not one of the haters, just a moderate Democrat, what do you fear most if the Republicans hold on to both the House and the Senate? That's what I want to know. And I think I can get the answers from you. There's only one open line at 855-407-28. You better grab it while you can. And I will take your calls. Getting a lot of people who are angry at me. Kathleen on KK, what? I don't know where this is. KQQQ? All right, whatever. Kathleen, welcome to the Savage Nation. What's on your mind?
Thank you, Michael. I just called to say snap out of it. This is not like you.
Snap out of what?
The Kavanaugh hearings.
Wait, say it again, ma'am. Snap out of what?
Not wanting to vote.
I didn't say I'm not voting.
It didn't feel that way. It felt like you had no hope. You have lots of hope. That's what you give us each day.
It's not that I don't have any hope. I don't have the personally. I don't have the enthusiasm I had in 2016. Personally.
See, I'm more excited.
I think most people are, but I'm not. Why am I not?
I don't know.
No, no one knows.
No, only you would know.
Only his hairdresser knows for sure.
Take some more.
You got a good nature there. I'm going to send you my book, which goes way past politics. It's a book of politics and history. Stop Mass Hysteria. It's a book you could read for the next several years. It not only deconstructs the left's unhinged response to traditional American values like borders, language, and culture, but I take you on an unprecedented journey through the long history of mass hysteria in the United States, from Christopher Columbus to the Salem witch trials to the so-called Red Scares of the 1930s and 40s. I'm recounting the many times collective insanity, which I think were often prompted by sinister politicians with ulterior motives, gripped the American public. It's a history book. And I want you to learn about mass movements in the past and various examples of mass hysteria. Michael on KSFO. Go ahead, you're on the Savage Nation.
Hi, Dr. Savage. I just wanted to say it seemed like today's message was a little dark. It almost sounds like you're throwing in the towel, but I know you're not. You're just being a realist, and you're throwing different ideas out there. And I just want to let you know that I'm not giving up, and I'm.
But when you say giving up, do you think that's really what I'm saying?
No. I don't think you're giving up. You're a realist.
Why do I feel foggy about this election? Why am I not that enthusiastic?
Because of the negativity, and it's catching up to everybody. It's catching up.
Do I think that the country is too divided?
No.
Do I think that the media is so vile that they should be controlled? Yes. Do I think Trump is overboard in his attacks on the media? Yes.
Yes.
Do I think that Donald Trump should have shown an attempt to pull people together instead of drive them apart? Yes. Do I think he should have stopped campaigning a long time ago and start running the country as a dignified leader? Yes. So what do you want me to say? You want me to lie about these things and get on board with all the others on the Trump train and sit there like one of the conductors giving out free drinks?
No, well, as you've said many times before, you're not a cheerleader. You're.
Look, this election will be over in a week. And then we're going to have to put up with 2 more years of election coverage running up to the presidential election. Do you think this nation can take constant division and hatred?
Nope.
No. Look what happened in Pittsburgh when one moron snapped. One guy snapped. How many more are waiting on out there to snap if this keeps up?
It's a sad thing, but...
Well, it is a sad thing, and I'm a little concerned about it. I don't know that I nor the nation can take two more years of this kind of division. You know, we tried to rein in CNN yesterday on the show. I exposed Don Lemon for the fraud that he is. Here's a gay guy who lives with a white man who says he hates whites. I asked Jeff Zucker to rein him in. I asked AT&T to rein in CNN. Nothing happened. Instead, that dim light bulb, Don Lemon, got even nastier and more vicious today. So there's no controlling the media. They're out of control. They're like a group of psychotic children who are acting up in a school and there's no principal. Because the minute anyone tries to control them, they'll scream censorship, Nazism, fascism, so everyone's afraid of them. They're basically terrorists in ties. The greatest terroristic threat to America are the terrorists on the left in the media, as far as I'm concerned. They're the ones stirring up the hatred and rage in this country. And nobody will stand up and stop them. So do I think that they need to be controlled? Yeah, well, the only way we can control them is not watch them or listen to them, because the government's afraid to step in. Now, on the other hand, then we have the political world. We have the cynical billionaires calling themselves Democrats. They're all liars. We know that. They don't pay taxes, and they claim Trump doesn't pay taxes. What did Nancy Pelosi pay last year? What did Dianne Feinstein's... Did we see Dianne Feinstein's tax returns from last year? And her husband, Dick Blum, did they pay taxes last year? How much did they pay? How much did they pay? I want to see. We're hearing Trump this, Trump that. How much tax did they pay? How much tax did Mark Zuckerberg pay personally last year? How much tax do the owners of the Silicon Valley giants pay? Did they really pay their fair share? So, you know, it's like you look at this stuff from the outside looking in, and it's like Alice in Wonderland to me. It seems both sides are filled with deceit, and you don't know which way to go, and I'm starting to get a headache from it all. After this election is over, do you actually think I'm going to talk about politics for 2 straight years? No, I would have left the media if that's what I thought I had to do. Instead, I'm starting a whole new career come January. A totally new career. 1 hour of radio, or 1.5 or 2, depending on the station, and then a podcast. Why am I going to do podcasts? Because I'm not going to just do politics. In fact, I'll do very little politics in my podcast. I might do stuff about health. I'm going to do a lot of health things because people are fascinated by my knowledge of health, and I'm the only one in the media that I know of. You know anyone in radio who has a degree in any health-related field? If you do, let me know, because I don't. I wrote many best-selling books on health topics before I became a talk show host. I'm going to do health stuff, food stuff, cooking stuff, car stuff, dog stuff, saving animal stuff. Here's another part of the whole Republican thing that gets me sick, and I'm not a Republican. I'm not a registered Republican. I'm a registered independent. Why are these people so dense that they laugh at anyone who wants to save the elephants and call them environmental wackos? I'm Rush Limbaugh. Anyone who wants to save the elephants is an environmental wacko in their Birkenstocks. If I were 20 years old and I listened to that, I'd become a communist. If I listened to that man put down people who are trying to save the environment and save animals, I'd become a commie. If I were 20 and listening to that guy, I can't stand it. What do you think? We're part of a team? I'm not a part of any team. I'm an independent broadcaster with an independent view of things. I'm also an animal rights activist. I have been for my whole life. If you want to call me an environmental wacko in Birkenstocks, go ahead, be my guest. But if it wasn't for the environmental wackos, you'd have no clean air, no clean water, no clean food. You'd have nothing. The earth would be poisoned by now. It was only because of those little old ladies in tennis sneakers back in the 50s who saved some of the most pristine, let us say, wetlands, which you would call a swamp, from becoming toxic waste dumps. It was the environmental wackos who made sure that corrupt individuals were not dumping asbestos into waterways in New Jersey. Watch The Sopranos and see what they did. So in other words, we need the environmental, quote, wackos. We need Birkenstock-wearing people. We need to protect the animals. In fact, if we don't, we're going to have nothing left on this earth to devour. We are devouring the earth and all that is in it at the most alarming rate since mankind appeared on this planet. And if you don't know that, I can't help you. It's an awareness. It's not easy to grasp. If you're a typical card-carrying Republican oaf, you'll never grasp that. All you'll do is golf and laugh at anyone who wants to save the environment and call them an environmental wacko. So you're going to hear a lot more of that on my podcast, whether you like it or not. That's where I'm going. And then food, family stories, cars, anything I want to talk about. But getting back to today, I think today's show is actually very important. This whole thing about I guess the word is cynical. When I say to you, are you as excited about this election as you were about, Trump in 2016? I'm not. And I want to know what's tamped your enthusiasm. What is it, that we haven't had enough fear-mongering about illegal aliens yet to get excited? Is that it? I'm supposed to sit here frightened about the illegal aliens coming over the border? I don't want them here. They don't belong here. Most of them are of military age. Many of them are coming here to do us harm, not do us good. We all know that. We know that they push the baby carriages and the women in front. Everybody can see that. And we know that the left wing is behind this. It's the worldwide open borders crowd pushing them in. This is not good for America's poor. Will they actually affect me in my life? No. I'm insulated from it. So are most of you. Who would actually be affected most by this army of 15 to 20,000 illegal aliens, mainly men coming over the border? It's not really even the middle class that would be affected by it. It's actually the poorest elements of society that would feel it the most. Did you know that? So I'm not personally affected by it, but I'm really concerned about the poor elements of our society. Why? Well, again, there may be a selfish element to it, because they're the ones who are liable to go off like the guy did in Pittsburgh if they're pushed any further. Did you hear what I'm saying? They're the ones who are threatened the most by this army of invaders, not me. I'm not going to be affected by them one way or the other. Neither will you, baby. Be clear about it. So who should we be protecting here? We should be protecting ourselves from those who will be most affected by them, and the best way is to hear them and listen to the poor and listen to those who are disenfranchised on the bottom and not automatically call them white supremacists like a knee-jerk liberal does, because it's only going to make them worse, and there's going to be more violence, not less.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or Swiss. Listening to the president speaking about the caravan of illegal aliens trying to break their way into America. And you can't disagree with him. I mean, no matter what he's saying, he's right on this one.
So involved with the manufacturing of Apple products coming in Wisconsin. We have a lot of companies coming in.
No, we jumped now from illegals to coming in. What's coming in? Apples? Who's bringing in apples? Where'd that come from?
And we've already dispatched for the border the United States military. And they will do the job.
Wait, we're following the military and the border. Now we're apples and coming in? From Wisconsin?
Because we are totally prepared. Greatest military anywhere in the world. And it's going to be and is now in great shape. No longer depleted like it was when I took over
hold on now.
Slow it down for a minute.
Just tamp him down when I speak. What is the military going to do with the illegal aliens? They can't go into Mexico to stop them where they need to be stopped. They're not allowed to... we can't use the military here in America because of Posse Comitatus Act. So what exactly are they going to be doing? Handing out diapers and warm meals? What's the military going to do there? I think it's a show of force, which is a good thing, okay. But maybe this is being mishandled. It should have been handled through the area of trade. I said that last week, 2 weeks ago. There was a huge strategic error made by the Trump administration in signing away all of our rights in the new NAFTA deal, whatever it's called, before this immigration deal was worked out. That's why the flood came in. Because we would have had leverage over the Mexican government saying we're withholding our signatures until you take care of this because we don't want to send our military, we don't want to spend any money. You're going to stop them. But they made a mistake. Now let's go back and listen.
Government persecution based on race, religion, and other protected status.
Yeah.
These caravans and illegal migrants are drawn to our country by Democrat-backed laws and left-wing judicial rulings. We're getting rulings that are so ridiculous, so bad.
And they're here for an economic advantage, that's all. The welfare system, in other words.
Collectively known as an example, catch and release. It's a disgrace that we have to put up with it.
But you're president for 2 years.
Lead to the release of illegal aliens.
Wait a minute, but you've been in office for 2 years and nothing's changed.
But we're not releasing anymore.
Oh.
Big change as of a couple of days ago.
Wait a minute now. Wait a minute.
We're going to no longer release. We're going to catch.
Yeah.
We're not going to release. They're going to stay with us until the deportation hearing or the asylum.
What hotel are we
takes
putting them in?
place.
Which Republican owns the hotels they're going to be put in?
Community. We have millions
Who's
of people
building the facility? The Koch brothers?
Have been released into the community. They never show up for the trials. They never come back. They're never seen again. And those people, they know who they are, and we know a lot of where they are, who they are, and
all right, let's stop. I don't know. I can't. I'm sorry. The discursive nature of the speeches. I'm not inspired. How about you? I heard it before. I wrote the books about this while he was still a businessman in New York. What do you want me to sit here and cheer? I've been writing about borders, language, and culture since I began in radio. So then he latched on to the topic and became president. Good, I'm glad. But do something about it. I'm afraid it's just more jawboning by another politician. Period, end of story. And that's it for now.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
And the United States enters through the southern border. Think of that. 100% almost of heroin comes in through the southern border, along with roughly 90% of cocaine and the majority of meth and a substantial portion of the ultra-lethal.
You can't argue with him unless you're a lunatic, drug addict.
Our youth. The fentanyl is killing our youth.
He's right.
These drugs destroy the lives and kill much more than 70,000 Americans every single year. And the number goes up and up and up because we are so foolish with our laws that we allow this to happen.
Wait a minute.
The death toll equivalent.
I'm eating a shrimp roll. Excuse me a minute. Stop for a minute. I swear, stop chewing for a minute. I'm listening to the speech. I'm a little disconnected from it because I've heard it all before. You're telling me the DEA doesn't exist? That's like saying the DEA did nothing all these years. That's a slap in the face to the DEA. There are people dying to stop the drug flow. You should acknowledge them. Blame the judges for releasing them, not the DEA. How is he going to change this? What, by stopping the migrant caravan? Well, let's listen in for a minute and see.
That it's ever been. That's because of the Internet. Think of it. Human trafficking. You think back 200 years, 500 years. Human trafficking, where they steal children, in many cases women, unfortunately. They steal women. They're human traffickers. The lowest scum on earth. The lowest scum on earth. And it's at a level that it's never been worldwide, never been at a level like this.
What are you telling me about it? You're president.
If these caravans are allowed into our country,
what can I do about it?
And more emboldened caravans will follow. And you see that's what's happening now. We have one that's coming up, and it's
I think there's only one solution to this problem, which is that he should enlist Sean Hannity to leave the media and put on a general's uniform and charge the caravan on a white horse. The man's running the administration anyway. He's recommending ambassadors, administrators. He ought to lead an army. I think he should be made the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Caravan number 2 is unbelievably rough, people.
Rough Riders.
Very, very
Wait a minute,
hard.
stop it. I got an idea. The president should announce that Sean Hannity's going to be made the head of the Rough Riders. And he's leaving Fox News, just temporarily because he can't give up the money. But he's such a genius, he's going to lead the Rough Riders against the caravan. And he's going to mow down the men, women, and children on horseback. And it'll be like a repeat of history, like running up a hill or something. Well, now back to the speech. You can see I'm really buying this one.
Medical, and in many cases, They've got some big medical problems before they get here.
Like what?
No nation can allow itself
Say
to be
Zika.
overwhelmed by uncontrolled
Who's
masses
writing
of
this
people
crap?
rushing their border. That's what's happening. They're
Why don't you
rushing
state,
our border.
wait a minute, why don't you just state, like, I've written about this for 20 years, Donald. Talk about Zika, talk about tuberculosis, talk about the actual diseases that are being brought in. What do you have, a moron writing these speeches for you? What's going on here? Not everybody is as stupid as those who watch Fox News day and night.
Billions and billions of dollars a year. And I will therefore take every lawful action
What are they?
at my disposal to address this crisis. And that's
But
what
you
we're
could have
doing.
done
The United
that by
States
now.
military. Great people. My administration is finalizing a plan to end the rampant abuse of our asylum system.
All right.
It's
How?
abused. To
How?
halt the dangerous influx and to establish control over America's sovereign borders.
Okay.
Got borders. And once that control is set and standardized and made
shrimp rolls are
very
good.
strong, including the building of the wall, which we've already started.
Where?
$1.6 billion spent last year, $1.6 billion this year.
Where?
We have another 1.6 that will be coming, but we want to build it at one time.
Where's the wall, though?
What it does is turn people in a
It's like
different
find
direction.
Waldo.
If you don't, we want to build it at one time.
Find the
This
Waldo.
plan, the illegal aliens will no longer get a free pass into our country by lodging meritless claims
All right, all
in
good.
seeking asylum. Instead, migrants seeking asylum will have to present themselves lawfully at a port of entry.
Okay.
So they're going to have to lawfully present themselves
Okay.
at a port of entry.
Good.
Those who choose to break our laws and
Can I go back to
enter
my shrimp roll
illegally
now?
will no longer be able to use meritless
And one
claims
left.
to gain automatic admission into our country. We will hold them for a long time if necessary. The only long-term solution to the crisis and the only way to ensure the endurance of our nation
Is?
as a sovereign country
Is?
is for Congress to overcome open borders obstruction.
That should
That's
tell Charles
exactly
Schumer
what
that.
it is. It's
Tell
open
Pelosi that.
borders obstruction. No votes.
Well, okay, it's not your
You can
fault.
come
I get
up
it.
with the greatest border plan, the greatest immigration
they
plan.
would reject it
You
anyway.
won't get one vote from a Democrat.
Of course not.
They have terrible policy. In many cases, they're terrible politicians.
So what do you want me to do
But the
about
one
it?
thing I give them great credit for, they vote as a bloc. They stick together.
Right.
And we will end catch and release.
You're
We're not
right. They do
releasing
stick
any
together,
longer.
unlike your administration.
We also must finish the job that we started by being strong at the border. When we're strong at the border, people will turn away and they won't bother.
How? Wait a
you will
minute.
see it a year from now,
Oh, keep going. Let him.
or and certainly a period of time from now, despite our very good economy, which some of them come for that. I can't blame them for that.
No.
You have to do it legally. But you will see that the numbers of people trying to get in will be greatly reduced. But that
what?
can only happen
If.
if we're strong at the border. And the southern border is a big problem. And it's a tremendous
But that's
problem
what you
for
were
drugs
elected
pouring
for,
in and
this.
destroying our youth and really destroying the fabric of our country.
Wait
There's
a minute.
never
Can we
been a
stop
drug-
for 1 minute? This is like the campaign all over again. But he's not running for office. He's the president. Okay. I get it. It's a crisis. And we certainly don't want the mob coming in. Most Democrats don't want them here either. So what is the military going to actually do? They're not allowed to fire on these people. You wouldn't want them to use weapons. So if the military is trained only, as we used to say in the early days of radio, to kill people and break things, remember that's what we heard? All the years Democrats are running the military saying, oh, they're not made for humanitarian relief. Remember that? Military is trained to kill people and break things. Remember that? That was very popular in the conservative movement. So given that they're trained to kill people and break things, what are they actually going to be able to do on the border? The answer is to actually automatically deputize 5,000 new Border Patrol agents. That's what should have been done, because they have the authority actually to stop this. I don't know what the military is actually going to do. I'm glad we're using them, but I don't know how they're going to be used. They're actually, their hands are tied. Maybe he has a plan, a secret plan. After all, he's playing electronic chess, and we're all stupid. Even though that's my phrase, which I invented 3 years ago, that some of us are playing electronic chess in the fourth dimension, while the politicians are playing backgammon. Can you tell me what the military is actually going to do on the border? Let me read you something that someone wrote when I asked that question that I asked at the beginning of the show. Former Democrat voted straight-ticket Republican for first time ever. I hate what the Dems have morphed into. Irrational bullying and solely focused on identity politics to the point of unhealthy obsession. Don't want to see socialism take hold here. Well, that man is 100% right. And if the Democrats only understood that identity politics is what's going to limit them, they would have stopped this a long time ago. But their hateful rhetoric, namely attacking white people, especially white males, limits their appeal to the very demographic that they need to appeal to. Now let's go back to President Trump for a moment, please.
Salvador and Honduras. It's disgraceful that those countries aren't able to stop this, because they should be able to stop it before it starts. And the United States pays them a fortune.
So stop.
And we're looking at not doing that anymore.
Good.
Because
Don't
why
give them a
should we
dime.
be doing that when they do nothing for
We
us?
should.
You know.
You're right on that.
Jeff, go ahead.
Mr. President, how is this plan going to be legal, considering current law?
Oh, this is totally legal. No, this is legal. We're stopping people at the border. This is an invasion.
How?
And nobody's even questioning that.
But in terms of your plans to change asylum, are you going to do this via executive
No, you
order?
don't have to release. You can hold. The problem is, to hold people, you need massive facilities. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Another country says, sorry, you can't come in.
Right.
With us, we take their name, take their phone number, take their everything, and say, good luck. Only because we don't have the facilities to hold people. But we're building
the Koch
facilities
brothers can build
now.
new hotels
We're
for them.
building massive numbers
Flat
of tents.
screens, tennis courts.
And we will hold them in tents.
Give them an RFP.
You don't have to release them. They released them only because they didn't have the facilities to hold them.
I don't know about you, but I'm getting so tired of this discussion.
We will be doing an executive order sometime next week, yes.
We are?
Does
anyone know what's going on?
It's going to end. It's going to be talking about everything. It'll be quite comprehensive. Many of the things we've talked about.
This is a live press conference that you're listening to.
Just to clarify, you are speaking of in the tents, these family units that would arrive
Well, we have other
of the
facilities
children.
also. But what's happened is we are holding so many facilities, so many people, that our facilities are being overrun. They're being overrun.
You know, what can the guy do? I mean, you got to ask yourself, what would you do if you were him?
Temporary facilities.
Bring him to
Eventually,
San
people won't
Francisco.
be
I have an
comfortable
idea.
when they realize they can't get through.
So they will hold the children in those tents with their parents.
I think that the media should be deported from America and all their property given to the illegal aliens. You know, that might be a I don't mean permanently. I think that we should have Don Lemon lead an army of people in the media who are so good-natured and so kind-hearted that they give up both their jobs and their property to illegal aliens just on a 90-day basis and let the illegals take their jobs and their housing. And then they'll have a place to be for those 90 days. I mean, they have enough money, Don Lemon and the others, to live on for years. So that might be a solution. Deport those in the media who want illegal aliens here and have their property opened up to illegal aliens. That certainly is a middle ground, isn't it? Well, is he still talking?
I don't want them in our country.
Whoa.
And women don't want them in our country.
We don't want
women
them.
want security. Men don't want them in our country, but the women do not want them. Women want security. You look at what the women are looking for. They want to have security. They don't want to have
See, this
these
is a
people in
camp.
our
Someone
country.
told him that.
And they're not going
See,
to.
that's like a Hannity job at 2 in the morning. Yeah, women don't want him here. Say that. I feel like I'm listening to a Fox News show now.
Is this a plan that will be included in that executive
People
order?
are going to have a chance to go for asylum.
To
But if you
be
look
in
at the
America.
records, not very many people are allowed
Everything
to stay.
free in
But
America.
what happens is they were using asylum.
Do you know what
First of
the
all, they
average
were told
wage
what to
is
say.
in El Salvador? $5.50 a day.
Seeking asylum. The whole thing.
No, you would also walk 2,000 miles if you got here and you made $10 an hour.
President
Off the
Trump,
books.
U.S. law and international law says that people
Blah,
who
blah,
have
blah. Oh, they know law
claims
now.
have a right to seek
All right,
asylum.
stop it. I can't listen to these yantas hocking him a China care. Stop with the law already. You catch a coke dealer and you tell us to release them. You say kill babies in the womb. That's the law, to kill babies in the womb and let coke dealers go? But all of a sudden you're worried about people you don't even know. What kind of nonsense is this? See, this is the insanity I'm talking about. We can't take it anymore. I don't know about you. I cannot take another day of this. I've heard too much of it. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's not me. Maybe it's you. I'll be back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now.